Hey everybody, it's the middle of the week. I'm Jeff, and this is Midweek Worship at Cities Church. If you found this broadcast for the first time, why don't you look below me? You'll find some information about this episode and what we're going to talk about today. You'll also see a link to a YouTube clip, and in that clip, you can go ahead and follow along with who we are and why we started doing this broadcast. Why don't you wait until this episode's over with? Don't stop right now. But when this episode is over with, why don't you go check out that clip and learn a little bit more about our broadcast. As we study through the effects of sin, today we're going to move that concept along just a little bit further. Today, what we're going to talk about from theology, or in theology and from the Bible, is what happened to creation as a result of sin. Last week, we looked at what happened to you and how you and I and all humans have been impacted, and we have been sentenced to death, essentially, because of that first sin. Well, today what I want to do is figure out what happened to the rest of humanity. And the Bible is going to describe that for us vividly from Romans chapter 5. But before we get to Romans chapter 5, I want you to sing a song as a way of preparing your heart for what you hear from the Bible. When we use the word worship, we mean more than just singing songs in church. It's more than just studying the Bible. Worship is a life that has been changed and surrendered to King Jesus. So we're going to sing, we're going to study, and we're going to put what we study today into practice. Before we go any further, why don't you go ahead and sing along with this song and the words that are on the screen.
Who am I that you are mindful of me, that you hear me when I call? Is it true that you are thinking of me, how you love me? It's amazing. I am a friend of God. Oh, I am a friend of God. Oh, I am a friend of God. He calls me friend. I am a friend of God. Oh, I am a friend of God. Oh, I am a friend of God. He calls me friend. Who am I? Who am I that you are mindful of me, that you hear me when I call? Is it true that you are thinking of me, how you love me? It's amazing. I am a friend of God. Oh, I am a friend of God. Oh, I am a friend of God. He calls me friend. I am a friend of God. Oh, I am a friend of God. Oh, I am a friend of God. He calls me friend.
now that you've sung a song of praise to King Jesus, I want to put before you Romans chapter 5, because instead of going all the way back to the very beginning, to Genesis chapter 3, when Adam and Eve did the one commandment that God told them not to do, when they committed the original sin that we learned about 2 weeks ago, when they plunged humanity into sin, not only were all of their children, you and I, impacted by it, but everything that we see around us was impacted by it as well. And Romans chapter 5, verse 19 describes this for us. So will you memorize? It's a little bit longer, but it's important. Will you memorize this one verse from the Bible this week with the rest of Two Cities Church? Here it is, Romans 5, 19. For just as through one man's disobedience the many were made sinners, so also through the one man's obedience the many will be made righteous. Romans 5, verse 19. That one man's disobedience is, of course, a reference to Adam. And the many that it talks about in both places in that verse is a reference to all of Adam's children, everybody that will ever come after Adam, me and you. The second man, the second one man that the Bible describes is, of course, Jesus. And because of Adam's one sin plunging all of humanity into sin and helplessness, one man, the second Adam, could do one act that would pull everybody out of sin and make everybody pure and righteous before God again. That second Adam is, of course, Jesus, and the act is his sacrificial death on the cross and his bodily resurrection 3 days later. You see, I want you to look around the world, and I want you to notice that nothing is pure. There's nothing absolutely perfect. There's no absolute Garden of Eden or paradise left anymore. And I want you to think about Adam's first actions like a precious, priceless china vase. In fact, I'm going to show you this little video clip. It'll take like 15 seconds, but it's so cool. It's super slow motion of an arrow penetrating a vase. And I want you to notice what happens to this vase when the arrow penetrates the vase. And in the back of your mind, I want you to think about what happened to all of humanity when Adam created that first sin. Check this video clip out, will you? Okay, was that video clip just cool or what? It was so cool that I want to show you the video clip a second time. Plus, it only took a few seconds. Did you see what happened to the vase? I want you to think about it this way. Even if that vase were to fall off of the table, let's imagine that it's absolutely priceless, that it can't be replaced, that it is one of the most valuable works of art in history. If it were to just fall off the table and break just a little bit, the whole vase has still broken. Yeah, sure, you could super glue it back, but anybody who looks close enough would know, hey, that thing's been broken and it's not perfect anymore. Well, when Adam created the first sin, it really probably felt like I just cracked it a little bit. I just chipped the vase a little bit. But in reality, what God says is, no, Adam, you shattered that vase like an arrow penetrating this vase into millions of pieces, and the ground itself, the sky, the birds, the animals, everything was impacted by your first sin, Adam. And in order to wrestle with this question personally, because I don't want this to be about Adam, I want it to be about me. I want it to be about you. In order for you to wrestle with this question personally, I want to put a challenge before you on the screens. And then when we end this episode, I want you to think hard and answer out loud this question. Here it is. What part of you is still perfect? Did you notice the word still in there? Because when God made Adam, 100% of him was perfect. Everything about Adam is perfect. I want you to think about every aspect of who you are, what you look like, what you do, what goes through your mind, the affections of your heart. And I want you to answer the question, what about you is still perfect? And I think what you're going to see, what I would have to admit to you out loud, is that Adam broke that vase so bad that there's no part of me that's perfect anymore. There's some parts that are a little bit better than others, and on some days I'm a better person than other days. But there's nothing left inside of me that's perfect. Nothing left about me that's perfect anymore. Until Jesus comes back and makes perfect once again what Adam broke when he created that first sin. Think about this and answer this as we wrap up this broadcast.